We are live.
We are live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Hope for the Soul. We missed you guys last week, but we are back.
We're back.
And I have a series of mini jokes for y'all.
Series.
The chicken's back.
It's like the episode we had with LJ. Multiple jokes.
Yes. Dad chicken jokes.
He told everyone. Oh, okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
What does a chicken basketball referee do? Call fouls.
Call fouls.
What do you get when you put a chicken in a hot tub? Soup.
That's a good one.
What happened to the chicken that misbehaved at school? It was egg spelled.
Spelled.
Why did the chicken go to the gym?
Tell us.
To work on its pecs. You're welcome, folks. I'll be here every week. Same time, same place.
So in my my research for this this episode I did just a few moments ago,
You researched for this?
I clicked open my chat GPT and it said, give me a clean preacher joke about a chicken. And
seriously?
I'm serious, Kayla.
You have Chat GPT, Dad?
I've got it on my phone and my laptop.
Well, check you out. All
What-
right.
Absolutely.
What did Chat tell
I've been
you?
having it write my sermons for me.
You better not.
But I haven't been preaching. So
I'm about to say, you better not do that.
What did Chat tell you?
it did tell me about the coach calling fouls you just told us about.
Oh,
So
okay.
I know where you're getting your material.
No. I have not referred back to Chat GTP. I've gone old school internet.
Google.
Old school internet.
All right, so you don't have a joke, or that was your joke?
No,
She
I
stole
was
your
just
joke?
I was just trying to share resources with our jokesters.
I didn't know that you were involved in the R&D of intros,
Yeah.
podcast intros.
Yeah, you know what? I never even thought about Chat doing that.
Let's not go there.
I bet if you and a lot of time you bring Bubba to visit with us. I bet if you
Yes.
and Bubba did a little work with AI,
Yes.
there's no telling where this podcast might go.
So many jokes I could now tell to the podcast world. Chat could clean them up for me.
So yeah, okay, it can clean up. Yeah, so I'm fine with AI. Like, I don't like. What am I trying to say here? I don't say AI give me something.
Right.
I give it something.
Yeah.
And say refine this.
Yes. Or like check for grammar. Is there a better word I
Yeah.
could use?
So like there's grammar. Yeah, there's what's the app? Grammar. I can't talk. Grammarly is for
yes. Yeah.
that. And so we use AI a lot for social media. A lot of our social media content, whether it be images or videos, and then our captions are AI. But as far as just
But
going
we're
to chat,
putting text in there.
we're giving it and just saying, help, let's make this more presentable.
Yeah.
We're not saying, hey, let's
Yeah.
do my job for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. Don't get a sermon from ChatGPT. Please don't do that. I don't even use AI. I don't even input my sermons into AI. I don't do that.
There's sometimes
I've got a lot of friends that do, but I don't.
There's sometimes that I question punctuation. And like earlier, I put some text in there and I just put check my punctuation. Well, it gave me back, your punctuation is correct. I felt smarter than AI.
You knew it before AI knew it.
Yeah.
Here's the deal with AI. If you can use it to create it, someone can use it to deconstruct it and figure out where you got it.
Right. Yep.
Because there's tools that'll take the manuscript and that's what all these people aren't thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
If you can use it to do something, you can use it to undo it and give the source for it.
Right.
So,
Well, I do.
sorry
know,
to lecture you, Dad.
Well, I do know now that I know how to click on it and type something in the search bar.
The fact that you have that crap.
That right there shows that at least that there is either some sort of movement in me. I don't know if it's growth.
It terrifies me.
It might be regression. But I know how to click on the app now.
Yeah, so we have it, but like I said, we're very limited with how we use it because I'm terrified of. It's kind of like plagiarizing a sermon or a paper. You go into Google and go into the internet and getting something. Teachers can find out if you did that. It's the same thing with.
Yeah.
So it just helps to be original, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, but we didn't know we were going to come here today.
No, we didn't. Okay. No, we didn't. We're following some kind of cloud.
We're following the fog today.
Yeah. So we didn't have an episode last week because
we were at General Conference.
Yeah, and we intended to the week before record 2, and just the schedules hadn't allowed that. So sorry that we left you guys hanging. I'm sure y'all really missed us, but you barely got through your weekend and waiting on us to come back. I'm
certain there's someone out there with bated breath.
Oh yeah, they just we ruined their whole weekend. Their Friday morning at 8:00. So.
They didn't know what to do without my jokes.
It was definitely the jokes.
Yeah. Okay, so we all went to California last week for our general conference, and I had a great time.
Cliff and Sheena, Kayla had a great time in California.
In California, I had
the girl who didn't want to go.
Yeah, I had a great time. We had fun with friends.
A lot of friends.
I will say that, okay, we're all foodies here. The food was amazing.
Yeah, not a bad meal.
We didn't have one bad meal, not one.
What's the place we went to? Was that not Laguna Beach? Where was that?
Newport Beach.
Newport Beach. What was the name of that restaurant?
It was something with a P, I think.
Yeah.
That does not help us, but I had shrimp taquitos, and I'm thinking like they cut these shrimp up and they're going to place them in these fried tortillas. No, the shrimp was bigger than the taquito.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a jumbo shrimp. It was like a jumbo shrimp. I've never seen a shrimp like that.
It was Hulk size shrimp in this taquito, and oh my word, they were amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what I would be interested in is if you'd have passed a drug test when you came home. Because it is a slippery slope, the places you've been.
Okay,
so tell the story,
so everybody, we're going to give you all a little context on that. So Trent, we registered late for general conference, so therefore, like, there were no hotels left. So he got an Airbnb that was like probably 3 minutes from the convention center.
Super close. Yeah, it was almost as close as all the hotels.
Yeah. So the Airbnb, like, it was cute.
Built in the 1920s.
Built in the 1920s.
2 blocks off the beach.
Yeah. So it was cute. It was older, kind of had like an older smell, but not terrible. But the person that was underneath us
lived underneath. Yeah.
Yes. A resident, a local Californian.
Locals.
It was the locals. Y'all don't think they ever stopped smoking weed.
Yeah, they were potheads. Like,
it was
biggest.
It was so strong. And obviously, like, these condos, apartments, they're older, so
they're not insulated well.
They're not were they insulated at all?
They probably didn't have to be because the weather there is so great. But.
Yeah. So anyway, so we get there Tuesday night, and I promise the smell never, ever leaves. I knew we were going to go to church smelling like, we're the ones who's been doing this. Well, we leave to come back home Friday morning, and about 4:00 in the morning, I wake up and the room is spinning like I am on the fastest carousel. And I didn't know what was going on. I try to get up, and y'all, like, I can't. My head feels like a bowling ball. I cannot get up. And the more I try, the more awful I feel. So I grabbed Trent, trying to wake him up. I said, Trent, by this time, like, I'm panicking. And because I knew, like, in 2 hours, we had to get up and get dressed. I'm panicking. I'm thinking I'm never going to see my kids again. I'm stuck in California.
So tough.
And So I wake up, I said, Trent, oh my God, I can't get up. The room is spinning. And then I break out into this cold sweat. Like I am sweating. He gets up and he turns the AC unit on full blast. And when he does that, I said, give me some water. He goes and gets me tap water. That was disgusting. And I said, oh my gosh, go get me a bag. I'm about to be sick. And I got sick. And
sharing all the details on Hope for the Soul.
Yes, I'm an open book. So we get to the airport, and y'all, in the Uber to the airport, like I cannot look to my side or look down because like the world is spinning. So we get to the airport. I drink, what was that, like a grande coffee?
Yeah, guzzled it. I
guzzled that. Well, before we get on our flight, I told Trent, I was like, normally like coffee, I don't want anything. I just want the coffee. I said, I'm going to go get me some chips. I ate, y'all, this whole bag of chips on the flight. And then I remembered a friend of mine had given me a candy bar the night before. I scarfed that candy bar down. Well, I Googled in the meantime, is secondhand
smoke,
weed smoke. Is this real? Well, Google tells me it's real, but you know, you kind of 50-50 on Google. Well, I'm talking to a man in the church here that is in the medical field. He told me on Sunday, it is very real. And he was like, you were high. What? Y'all, I freaked out. A guy in the church was like, Sister Kaylee, you better be glad none of the drug dogs were walking around.
The pastor's wife is celebrating her best ever general conference.
No, I'm not celebrating, y'all. It was terrible. Oh, it was terrible. Bad experience. Everything else was great, though.
Yeah, it was a fun general conference. We had fun. A lot of time with friends. Great services.
Oh, my goodness.
Good preaching.
Amazing.
Good preaching. And I hope that someone that's on the backside of the general conference hears these comments.
We're having Daniel on Hope for the Soul to talk about it all.
Okay. Yes.
Well,
yes.
I want to compliment. I want to compliment all of the services, the production.
Amazing.
And everything was like on point. There was nothing, you know, sometimes you're sitting in a place and you're thinking, I might not would have done this thing this way, but the production, the service flow, everything was just, was on point. If they need my approval, they have it. And I was very proud of what I saw. And then the way that not only was there a wonderful production, but also there was great room made for the flowing of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you've got this production, but then you've also got this anointing that was just incredible.
Yeah, I think that's a big misconception that people think, well, if you're going to have production, you're blocking out a move of the Spirit. That's not the case. It's not an and or. I think you can have both and. And so I think probably the best way to describe that was it was an immersive environment. Like when you walked in.
Is that a new word?
Well, no. But so when you walked in, a lot of times there'll be things on the stage, whether it be projection or LED walls or lights or stage design, however you want to say that. But then that's just up there. But this was the whole room was designed. The whole room was all one design, if you will, with lighting and sound and video. But all of that created an atmosphere that was extremely powerful. And while there was an incredible amount of technology in the room, we're going to have a whole episode dedicated to this when we talk about this with Daniel Bernard, who was the producer of.
You want me to handle that interview?
Sure, go ahead. And but so there was great detail, and it was unbelievable. It was on par with any major venue, concert, show, anything you would go to. It was just as good, if not better. But yet, it was done in a way that there was zero distraction.
Yes.
And it was extremely worshipful.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
Well done. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well done.
I mean, it was. It was very inspiring for us. I know
Yes.
all of our friends. Our churches. We don't focus on production, but there's an element to production because you have to have lights, you have to have sound,
Yeah.
and so if you're going to have these, let's not just have them in the room, but let's make them engaging and effective.
Absolutely.
And it was. I've never seen anything like it that we've done as far as the United Pentecostal Church. And I would put it with any. I would put it with any award show. I put it with any. It's unbelievable. But when you couple that with the incredible worship that was there,
the music was incredible.
Just the freedom to worship, the preaching.
So it was my understanding that the official song count was 28 songs. I may be off, but it was 28 songs in the services collectively, and out of those 28, I think 26 of them were written by apostolic people.
It's so incredible.
And so there was such a display of not only this incredible, like the production, but then the worship songs.
Yeah.
The talent that is within the United Pentecostal Church
it's crazy.
is really unmatchable.
Yeah.
Really, it's really incredible. And you couple that talent with anointing, and then you see these incredible music people, and I don't want to say they're performers, but these incredible people that sing and create this music and create these lyrics, and you saw them up front in their element. I was very touched that it was not only we weren't having to reach outside of the apostolic faith to find music to adapt, but what we were doing is we were having apostolic music, which much of it was rooted and shared our doctrine, and it didn't have to be adjusted or anything. And then here we were in this environment sitting, whether you were really high, which I said high several times, and low, wherever you were in the room, you knew that you were in a unique environment. Thankful for it.
It was a holy moment, but it was also a very special. It was like, let's pause, let's take this in, because this is special not only because the anointing and the things that happened in the spirit at that conference, but also just to say, look how far we've come.
Yeah.
And it's, we were talking yesterday, I think it was, and we're talking along these lines, and there's always been an element to art and writing and not just preaching and good services in the apostolic movement. For instance, some of the formidable songs in Christianity of the last 100 years were written by early apostolic pioneers of the early 1900s. We talked about, what's the song? I forget the name of it yesterday. You said G.T. Haywood wrote that.
Crimson Stream of Blood.
Yeah, and there was a couple others that just incredibly powerful songs. And I think that
we call those hymns now, but then they were new.
And so I think that there's an element of shaping culture that a move of God brings forth that doesn't stay in a local church, that doesn't stay in an arena with 12 or 15,000 people, that breaks out and it shapes culture of other churches, and most importantly, the unchurched. And I'm grateful to be a part of a movement that is incredibly spirit-filled, incredibly dependent upon the free flow of the Spirit. We say it like this here at Conroe Church: Plan A is the move of the Spirit. Plan B is our plans.
Yeah.
But we're still going to have a good plan. And sometimes the Lord will talk before service. Like your generation, we tease out, well, we're not going to have rehearsal. The Lord's going to speak to us. Well, the Lord can speak to you a year out or months out when you're preparing for a message or preparing for a conference or preparing for instance, our Christmas services right now that we're working through nearly every day. The Lord talks and ministers to us and builds up to that moment. And I'm just grateful that we as apostolics, we don't have to just come in and be second rate and not have an attractive presentation.
So you've just referenced where we've been. We're talking about where we are. But what enthuses me the most is about the vision of where we're going
Yeah.
as a movement, as apostolic people, to see the vision, the dream, and where this wonderful church is going is just it's amazing. And I just want to be I just want to be able to say I was here because this thing is going somewhere. I believe and that the future is stronger than it's ever been. And I hear people talk about this generation. I hear them. We had a little season where everybody beat up on millennials, but millennials are stepping into large leadership now.
Yes,
and they're leading.
Yes.
And I want to say this: the millennial generation is leading large and leading strong, and leading with good doctrine, and leading with the message and the mission, probably stronger than my generation did. And for that, I am extremely thankful. I feel very, very happy and secure with the future and the direction of the apostolic movement.
Yeah, it was. I was.
Well, it's great when you now see our generation that's preaching general conference.
Yeah, it was our friends. Like that's. I think I texted y'all one night.
Yeah.
We're sitting with one of our friends, and we just looked at each other, and both of our friends, there was 3 speakers for 15 or 20 minutes for the North American Mission Service. And 2 of the 3 were friends of ours.
Yeah.
And that's not a badge on us.
No.
That's something that I think that I'm grateful that our generation is stepping into something.
From my perspective, this was my friend's kids.
Yeah.
And so it's extremely fulfilling to see young adults step into their calling and their anointings, and God begin to use them and expand them. I'm watching this with you and Kayla right now. I'm so enthused about and excited about opportunities and doors that are swinging wide for you, and it amazes me how that God doesn't require the manipulations of men to move David from the pasture to the palace. And so when I watch these things happen in young lives, and I say that from a perspective, I'm not saying it disdainfully, but when I see, people that are in their 20s and 30s beginning to emerge as strong leaders with specific giftings and specific anointings, it makes me extremely thankful for the past, but secure for the future.
Yeah.
I also want to say something else because at the conference, I can't help but smile.
I knew you were going to say that.
I have to talk about this because all of these young reverends, they're all walking around. There's this whole new, we had this fashion thing begin to unfold within the apostolic movement a few years ago with these ladies and these people, designing and selling their clothes to women. But now we've got all of these. I guess tailors or something that's selling their suits, and they're going to these meetings, and all of these young reverends, they're walking around in their handmade suits and homemade, handmade. I think that's a compliment. I'm not saying they're homemade, but they're.
You made it sound like Trent got his needles out and started stitching.
I'm still looking for sell suits at JCPenney's, okay? I'm still looking for
Mama got her sewing machine out and went to work.
Yeah.
I want a JCPenney sales suit, but not this generation, man. They walking around with these suits, and they got their little wives walking behind them. They're all carrying these
But you make it sound
handbags.
like we're like bad stewards. We're not spending any more money.
No, it's the same thing. But what I'm saying is
you got apostolic designers now.
It's a different day.
Yeah.
It is a absolute different day within Pentecost, and I celebrate that, and I'm thankful that there are resources and blessings upon our ministry where the sacrifice levels are going to be very different because there seems to be a cash flow that wasn't there 30, 40, 50 years ago, but I will say that the sacrifice that this generation will make will be huge.
Yeah,
it will be huge. It may not be a financial dependency, but it will be a huge sacrifice.
Well, some of that is just the fact that we're becoming more and more multi-generational. I think right now we're 3 or 4 generations deep as far as, we're just talking about our organization, the United Pentecostal Church. But if you want to go before that, I mean, we're
125 years.
125 years into this apostolic faith breakout in North America that's spread all over the world again.
Yeah.
And so some of that, just with longevity comes stability.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that right here at Conroe Church. You know, we're 30 years old, over 33, 34. And with that, we're still a baby church. You know, we still view ourselves as a church planner. You know, we're still starting a church. But with the longevity that we've had, as limited as it is, there's still a level of stability that we're finding and discovering that's new. And so I just think it's just a testimony that if you just keep on going, and you don't give too much credit to the people that find everything wrong. Now, there's validity to every bit of criticism.
Yeah.
It might not be all valid, but there's at least a root of validity.
Every criticism holds a thread of truth.
But if we self-correct and we just keep on walking in what God's called us to do and reaching the people that God's called us to reach and love, He brings stability.
Absolutely.
And there's some of it practical. I'm a very practical guy. I think I'm more practical than you are because you gutted this thing out of nothing. But at the same time, I'm practical, but I recognize that there's got to be a moment where God intervenes. And probably, so I had a really cool moment at conference when we realized that, hey, our friends are leading this service. Our friends are, really the whole conference was, we had friends and friends of friends, acquaintances. But then Thursday night was our final night there. The conference ended on Friday, but Thursday night, Brother Bernard's message that every church, every pastor has to have a defining moment. And that defining moment can't be boxed into the practicality. It's got to be, okay, if God doesn't step in, we don't know how we're going to get through this. And so
I think it's more than just every church has to have a single defining moment. I think every leader has to have that. I do know what was the defining point where Conroe Church moved into where it had membership in the hundreds rather than just the handfuls. And so I remember that, and we make reference to that often. That becomes a defining, but then now we're into next generation leadership. And so you will have to have that as well. And we see pieces moving, but the defining moment hasn't yet happened. It will.
Yeah.
And I was extremely enthused with the message of Brother Bernard with that. And there's one more thing I want to mention about the conference that I think is absolutely wonderful. And probably, if not, this is not a spiritual thing that I see from it, but it's, we have the church and we have the services, we have the anointing, we had all of that. But then there's this other side of the conference that to me is absolutely important and incredible. And it's the relationships with people. Yes. Because we now have all this technology where we can kind of interact and talk with people all the time. So in another day, the general conference was the only time you saw people from around the world. But we see them all the time now. And with the increase, with the expansion of air travel, we were really face to face with friends more often. But there's something about the interaction with friends and the creation of new relationships, and then the building of relationships that you already have. To me, when that happens, for instance, you have a friend or someone that you have a relationship with, you invite them to preach. Okay, the bottom line is it's about work, and you have a little social.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you go off to the general conference, and you're able just to hang out for a day or two with your friends, your peers, at whatever level that relationship is, ever how new or old it is, it gets stronger and it builds. And some of the most important things that happen in a in a general conference setting like this is not what happens in the church, but what it happens on the sidewalks. It happens across restaurant tables. It happens in
Walk into the restaurant.
Walk into the elevator in a hotel, because you brush shoulders and you bump and you make little self-deprecating jokes, but you're building relationships, and I'm thankful for that. We spent time with friends, but also I was extremely thankful to see that you, with your friend group, which stretches across the United States, I am so thankful that you guys have friends from everywhere, and we don't spend time together at these. By design, when I go to a meeting, I don't hang out with my kids, and I don't hang out with, even if we had church people that go or ministers from the church that go, I wouldn't hang out with them. It's by design. It's not that I don't like them, but that's time that I can cultivate the relationships with others.
Yeah.
And so while we're there together, we're not together, and we never hang out. We never eat together. We don't, because we do that at home.
Yeah.
But to see you across the way, or like when we're sitting at an ice cream thing on a sidewalk and hear you and your friends walk by, and we're able to tease and talk for a couple of minutes and chat with your friends, and you go on about your business, to see the expansion and the growth of relationships. If you can grow relationships, then you're growing yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we grow at the speed of relationships. And so if we can continually meet new people and expand our world, the bigger our world gets, the more that we grow. And to me, this is not necessarily spiritual. It's probably more psychological than spiritual. But I am so thankful for what I saw with you and in myself and many of my other acquaintances, that they are able to cultivate relationships from around the world.
That's not easy to do. And whenever, for instance, I didn't go to General Conference for years.
Wasn't my fault.
No. I just,
well, a lot of it is
we had young
our
kids.
Yeah,
Leaving
place in
Taylor
life.
at
Place
home.
in life.
And so then, a handful of years ago, I went 2 years back to back. I flew in for one day and one night and flew back home. Just carry on, just quick trip, just basically to be a part of the business session. And then I said, babe, I think it's time that we both start going again. And that first time I think we went was in Indy, and it was kind of awkward for us because you and Mom have a ton of friends and you are busy. You know?
I abandoned you.
And so we
Threw you out.
Yeah,
Swim, boy.
we were trying to figure things out, and it's not that we didn't have friends, but just trying to mingle and figure out how the conference life works.
Well, we had been away from that scene for several years.
And so then stepping back into it, it's taken us a few years, and it's not that we didn't have friends, but I don't know. Sometimes I guess the scriptural principle is true. To have friends, you have to show yourself friendly.
Yeah.
It takes you stepping out, and I'm very grateful for our friends. We should probably have another. I can't talk today. We should have another episode on friends. We had one. Was it last year with Nate and Aaron? But I'm grateful that we have friends from all different perspectives and all different.
Yeah.
You know, when you have thousands and thousands of ministers in an organization, you've got all different cultures and you got all different ideologies and all different. But I'm trying to have friends in all the little groups within the big group, you know, and that only makes me stronger. It's like what I preached about on Sunday here. Our diversity makes us stronger. You know, we don't have to be twins to be brothers.
No.
There's room for differences, and if everybody looks like me and everybody talks like me and everybody thinks like me in my friend group, I've got a small friend group. And but the more diversity I find in my friend group in thought, not just in skin color, but that too, in our thought life, our church cultures, the part of the countries that we're from, that only strengthens me. That only allows me to think broader, and it only challenges my thinking. And some things that I'm solidified on, but then there's other things like, hey, we might can try this. We might can approach something like this, and it would help.
Right.
So one of the things that it happens often for me now, and I grin about it, it makes me happy. It doesn't make me sad, but I'll meet some young leader, and I don't really know them, may know of them, and be shaking their hands, and they'll say, "So, you're Trent's dad."
That's dumb.
And so now I just walk up, I just walk around the conference, and I just say, "Hello there, I'm Trent's dad," and automatically I have all of this respect and honor because I thought I should just say it that way.
You're saying one thing, but you're doing something else.
Oh, I know.
Trent's turning red.
I know what I'm saying.
People, if y'all cannot see this, Trent is turning red.
So I used to be so outgoing and obnoxious, like especially as a teenager, like making a big scene, and now I hate that. And Presley,
the tables have turned. So I think it's fun that when we're on an airplane, that when the airplane is taking off, you know, we're going down the runway.
It's a roller coaster.
I think it's fun to do this. And then if we turn, well, yeah, you're going to turn also. So I've taught our kids to do that. And so when we were flying to Colorado a few years ago, we did it. Well, Trent's head's just down like, oh my gosh. Well, this past week when we're coming home, it was actually a really fast flight taking off. And so I throw my hands up in the air. He ducks his head. I mean, his head is so far down. He said, "Oh my gosh, Kayla, people's looking. This whole plane is looking at you, Kayla. Stop." Well, that only makes me laugh even more. And so I turn like obnoxious, like, "Oh, we're turning."
And okay, so I'm on the aisle seat. She's in the middle. So she's got a guy sitting on the window seat. And so he's not even looking up, but he has to know what's happening.
He had his headphones in. He was zoned in to work. But, oh my gosh, like if he wouldn't show his embarrassment, it wouldn't be that fun.
I try to not show it, but God help.
It's a joy that I get.
All right, so recap of today's episode. You got to find friends.
Yeah.
You have to be friends. You have to extend friendship to others.
The church is strong. The church is great. The church is moving in the right direction. It's better than ever before. The future's bright.
Yeah.
And along the way, try to pick up a friend.
Yeah.
If I was rehashing, but if you went to the general conference and didn't come home with a new friend, then next year change your ways.
Or if you go on a work trip and you don't expand your friendship, and you gotta increase your network.
It's work.
It's work, but it's worth it.
Expand your own borders, and God will bless it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Looking forward to next week right here on Hope for the Soul. We'll see you soon.